Yoon Suk-yeol, the prosecutor turned president who promised justice and reform. Yet, in December 2024, his presidency took a shocking turn when he declared martial law. South Korea, a beacon of democracy in Asia, now finds itself in political chaos. But how did this happen? What led Yoon to such drastic measures? And what are the ripple effects on the global stage, including its relationships with China and the United States? Strap in as we unravel the political turmoil, the international fallout, and the future of the Korean Peninsula. This is the story of how it all went wrong. Yoon Suk-yeol wasn't your typical politician. Before entering politics, he built his career as a prosecutor, famously taking on high-profile corruption cases, even targeting figures in his own government. His hardline approach earned him respect and enemies. In 2022, Yoon's transition to politics was met with optimism. His campaign focused on cleaning up corruption, bolstering South Korea's economy, and standing firm against North Korea. But what many saw as strengths, his decisiveness and rigidity, would later become liabilities. Because when faced with mounting opposition and growing unrest, Yoon's hardline tendencies would push South Korea into an unprecedented crisis. Yoon's administration faced challenges from the start. His economic reforms, meant to tackle inflation and housing shortages, were criticized for disproportionately benefiting corporations and the wealthy. But it was his labor policies, particularly the controversial 69-hour workweek proposal, that ignited massive protests. Discontent grew, and opposition parties accused Yoon of being out of touch with ordinary citizens. The tipping point came when rumors of anti-state forces plotting to destabilize the government began to spread. Yoon claimed these groups were a threat to national security, but many saw this as an excuse to silence dissent. Then came the declaration that shocked the nation: martial law. What Yoon called a necessary measure to protect democracy, critics called an attack on it. On December 3, 2024, Yoon Suk-yeol announced martial law, citing threats from anti-state actors allegedly conspiring with foreign powers. The military was deployed to key cities, and protests were quickly suppressed. For many South Koreans, it was a stark reminder of the country's authoritarian past. The move sent shockwaves through the global community. The United States, a close ally of South Korea, expressed grave concern, urging the restoration of democratic norms. Meanwhile, China remained notably silent, fueling speculation about its stance on South Korea's political turmoil. But what was really at stake wasn't just South Korea's democracy. It was the delicate balance of power in East Asia. South Korea has long been a critical player in East Asia, navigating its alliances with the United States while managing a tense relationship with North Korea and an increasingly assertive China. Yoon's declaration of martial law disrupted this balance. For Washington, Yoon's actions raised concerns about instability in a key ally. South Korea is not only a critical defense partner, but also a technological powerhouse. Any political turmoil risks undermining its role in countering China's influence in the region. And speaking of China, the silence from Beijing wasn't just diplomatic, it was strategic. Experts believe China may view Yoon's crisis as an opportunity to deepen its influence in the Korean Peninsula, potentially weakening South Korea's alliance with the US. Some fear that prolonged instability could embolden North Korea, further complicating regional security. And with China watching closely, the stakes couldn't be higher. So, with South Korea's democracy on the line and global power circling, what comes next for Yoon Suk-yeol and his embattled presidency? On December 4th, South Korea's National Assembly took swift action, voting unanimously to lift martial law. While Yoon rescinded the order, calls for his resignation and impeachment have grown louder. Yoon's legacy, once defined by his promise to reform South Korea, now hangs in the balance. Will he find a way to salvage his presidency, or will this crisis mark the end of his political career? And beyond South Korea, the world is watching closely. The outcome of this political saga will have far-reaching consequences, not just for Yoon, but for the entire region. South Korea's political turmoil serves as a powerful reminder of the fragility of democracy. As the nation faces its greatest test in decades, the question remains, can it emerge stronger? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more insights from The Lost Key.